Hey everybody, and welcome back to Grunt Reviews. We've changed our format just a little bit. We are going to talk about what's in the box. We're going to go over the entire firearm. We're going to do some holster compatibility, and we're going to do a field strip on this. As always, like, subscribe, share, and drop a comment, and let's get into it. All right, so getting up close and personal with this, we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. Does come with a magwell, nice little logo there, great finish on the magwell. Could have maybe been blended a little bit better, but functional, still looks solid. Wanted to spend just a moment here on the grip. So this is their Hero grip. It's available with and without a pinned grip safety. They actually sell the mainspring housing, so you can change that over. I don't believe in grip safety, so I went with the pinned version of it. But it has an absolutely fantastic checkering on it. What I really like is it's just aggressive enough that when you really squeeze down on it, it will grip the hand very nicely regardless of sweat or oil, anything else that may be hanging out on your hands. But it is just enough that if you were carrying appendix and this was rubbing against you all day, I don't think you'd end up with hot spots or chafing or anything like that. That texture rolls all the way around with a couple little cutouts in between. Obviously, the mainspring housing is separate, and then it does have that little bit of a notch there on the beaver tail that's become pretty standard. Obviously, this one is pinned, but all in all, feels absolutely amazing in the hand. Really allows you to lock in, get a good solid feel, and it's not too big. Some of the polymer grips, they end up making them just a little bit bigger. I'm a upper end of large to an XL in a mechanics glove, and it fits, I mean, just absolutely perfect. Locks into the hand, allows you to get that good full high grip on it with ease. Excuse me, can't talk today. Working our way up to the trigger, and hopefully the camera gets this, but we do have some of the same checkering design there on the edge of the trigger to get yourself a little bit of feedback. It is a flat solid trigger, not skeletonized. This one's brand new for late 23 and early 24, but these are their new, these are their new safeties. So they are shielded and they are ambi. It is extended on the left-hand side for right-handed shooters, and it has obviously the smaller one on the passenger side, if you will. Fantastic fit on these. One thing that I will say is there is no movement whatsoever once that safety is engaged. Some of the other 2011s, you can kind of slide it, they'll wiggle. There is none of that here. Engages with a nice audible click, disengages the same way. Very easy to use and just the right size as a rest for your thumb or a platform for your thumb. Magazine release and slide lock, both finished in black like the safeties. Hammer finished in black as well too. Full size 5-inch frame, full length dust cover, and of course we do have some pick slots there to mount the accessory of your choice. And I will be showing you this a little bit later with an X300 on it. Of course, with the 5-inch gun, the barrel is cut back just a hair to make room for that beautiful 2-port compensator on the end of it. This one I did have finished in a DLC instead of the regular bare stainless, excuse me. So, a lot of times this does come in stainless, and they do have some options here. This is a full-length guide rod, and one thing that I did want to point out, a very nice little point of proper finishing, is the guide rod is also Cerakoted. You can see that inside there as well. Not a huge deal, but it is nice to not stab just a random shiny stainless steel guide rod in there. They actually thought it out and did complete the firearm, complete the look. Fit, finish is just absolutely gorgeous. No issues with the Cerakoting, no tool marks, just, I mean, a beautifully finished firearm. As we work our way back to the slide, we have the same checkering here on both sides of the front and on the rear as well. Allows you to get a great grip on that even with sweaty hands, whether you're doing a press check or you are actually needing to manipulate the slide. Very, very easy to grip, and both the texture and the divots as well make it very easy to get your hands on it. Red dot sighting system, I believe there is an iron sight plate, but I could be wrong on that one. But they offer two different RMR plates. There is the SRO RMR HD cut that's set up with a little bit more room around the ejection port. And there is the standard RMR cut. Does have co-witness sights. It's going to be a little bit hard to see with that dot. And it does co-witness with a front fiber that is a standard height, so you don't have to run suppressor height sights to get that co-witness. They did make this optic cut nice and deep into the slide. This, of course, is the RMR HD. One of my only complaints here with this, really would have liked to see an Acro P2 mounting option. As those become more common, and as this is somewhat aimed towards that performance duty market, if you will, the aim points are becoming more and more popular. They're gaining more market share. Not saying that RMR still isn't the gold standard, but it would have been really nice to have both options, and maybe that's something that they come out with in the future. We have yet to see. But all in all, feels absolutely just amazing in the hands. Slide to frame fit is perfect. There is no wiggle north, south, east, west, and it just feels like the slide rides on lubricated glass. Just absolutely incredible. I would put this head and shoulders above Staccato. The firearm itself, and hopefully this comes through in the light, but with the RMR HD, we are looking at 2 pounds, 7.4 ounces. When we add an empty magazine, we're at 2 pounds, 11 ounces. So with ammunition, probably right at the 3 pound mark there. It has a fantastic amount of weight to it without being overly heavy, like some of the major race guns with steel grips. Very well balanced in the hand. With the trigger, wanted to kind of get you up close with this. So, as with any 2011, it has a fantastic trigger. I do like the tactile feedback of having that checkering there on the front of the trigger, but you've got just that little bit of take up right there, very predictable. We hit a nice firm wall. We break, reset. All right, and one more on that wall, break, reset, and break. So fantastic, as all 2011s are, but very crisp, very clean. There's not a lot of slop in the trigger. You're not feeling that side-to-side movement. Very tight without being overly tight. I've got my handy-dandy Lyman digital trigger gauge here, and we are going to grab some weights on this. All right, first pull. First pull, 2 pounds, 3.8 ounces. Hopefully that comes through. Second pull. £2, 3.9 ounces. Let's see if that Let's see if that level of consistency holds up here. £2, 2.9 ounces for the last one, and I'll grab one more here. £2, 2.5 ounces. So right in that 2 pound, 3 ounce range. Fantastic feel. Let me grab a couple of holsters. First holster we are going to look at here is the Blackhawk T-Series. This is for a staccato. Not to pardon some of the dust on this thing. It's been sitting for a while. But as these are becoming more common, wanted to hit this one up first. So, does fit in, does lock, and you are able to gauge the hood even with a larger optic like the HD on there. And it does draw just the same. Takes just a little bit of a push to lock it in there. But even with the hood disengaged, you are getting a good firm lock there and a nice easy draw. Staccato, this is the, let's see here, the 6390 RDS. It's for the XC. It is definitely a little bit snugger on the initial insertion, but it does go in. It does lock up in there, and you are able to put the hood cover down on it as well too. Release is very easy. There's just a hair more pressure on that ALS lock than normal. And one thing I will say is the ALS doesn't come all the way up like it would on a staccato or something like an Atlas. If that bothers you, then you might look at the Blackhawk. But it does lock in, it's not coming back out, and the ALS is easily defeated there. This is the RDSO, which is our larger version here that does not have the hood cover on it. And I've got some shepherd hair. So this one will fit, finish, and function as well too. Locks right in, good positive click, and we actually get a little bit, maybe hard to come through on the video, but a little bit better engagement on the ALS on this. Still easily defeated, but is locked in there. I do not have a level 3 Safariland holster to try this with. A couple of the other ones I want to discuss here is the QVO and the T1C. So this was originally for the Staccato C2 or the Aries. The way that this is cut in the direct mold, the slide is just a little bit too big. And you can try to ram it in there, but it gets tighter and tighter and does not want to come back out. You could probably take a heat gun and warm this up, kind of make it work, if you will. Just give it a little bit of flex, but it's not one I would recommend on a straight out of the box. Now the QVO, and I had this one custom done. Shout out to those guys, fantastic little holster there. Does fit very, very well. So there's a little bit of an initial. There's a little bit of an initial resistance as it goes in, and some of that's that bigger slide. But the way this is set up, where the Kydex is spread out a little bit, does lock in very well, does hold very well, and is still relatively easy to draw. And I have my set screws set down relatively tight. I like them to be a little bit more firm, but still very, very usable there. Obviously we can see it's tight enough that grip texture pulls a little bit of the felt and the foam out of some of the holsters. But all in all, very compatible with staccato holsters. I buy everything for the XC setup, that 5-inch, and you can use the smaller one in the larger holster, not always the other way. So real quick, what's in the box? Obviously, we do get a gorgeous looking firearm. Does come in a nice Savior double pistol case. They do include the original mainspring housing with this. They included their screws for the optic, backing plate for their patch on the front. Close that thing up. We do get slots for 2 different firearms back here or accessories. We also get some additional magazine slots, and it comes with 2 total MBX Defender magazines. So these are the 19/20+1, the 140 millimeter, if I recall correctly. And we'll pop that back in there. And then they give you, kind of cheesy but kind of cool, the manual comes with a nice little wax stamp, printed manual, a sticker for you sticker skanks, and they do give you some TW25, a little breakaway grease, and they also give you, I believe that's a T10 for the optics plate and some of the other screws inside of the firearm there. We are going to do a quick field strip and takedown on this because I do actually want to highlight the linkless barrel system in this pistol. Of course, we're going to make sure it's empty, and I've done a little field stripping already, hence the grease on our table here. But comes apart just like any 1911 or 2011 would. We line up our notch. We push out. Well, if I can keep my own finger off of it. We push out our slide lock. We slide the frame off. And what we are left with is somewhat standard and somewhat different. So there is our full-length guide rod, and as I said before, we'll mention that they did do a Cerakote job on that, which I do appreciate. We have our reverse plug, we have the barrel system, and we have the barrel link. And we have dog hair. The joys of shedding season. So one of the things you will notice is this is grease on here. I did lubricate this when I first got it, ran through all my checks and functions. But what is unique about this is instead of a barrel link like you see on you see on every other 1911 or 2011, this actually uses this linkless barrel. So your slide release is what holds this in place, and the barrel actually moves and unlocks up and down on this. So instead of a hinge motion, it's a little bit more of a straight motion. Phoenix says that this improves or gives significant improvement, reliability, fit, finish, feel. But one thing I will note with this is you do have to put some TW25B grease. You cannot just oil this, it does need to be greased. Reassembly, very simple as well. So to unfield strip this, reverse plug, spring and guide rod, barrel link, and I like to pinch it, slide her back on. And one thing that I will say with this linkless barrel, it does make it very, very easy to put back together. You don't have to play the swing game, if you will, on trying to line up the barrel link, which never seems to happen. So there we go. Locks into place there. Function check. We are good to go. Super easy to clean, super easy to field strip, and they do recommend running these pretty dang well lubed. So something to consider. We'll see how it goes during our range testing. I do appreciate your time watching this. Stay safe, train hard.